I found a hotel keycard in his suit. I smiled at dinner. Then the front desk called me. First, the keycard slid out like it had been waiting for me, stiff plastic against my fingertips. And for a second my brain tried to make it into something harmless. Some random membership card, a transit pass, anything except what the tiny hotel logo at the top clearly was. I was standing in our bedroom with his suit jacket draped over my arm, the one he told me he needed pressed for dinner, and I could still smell his cologne in the lining. I turned the card over once, twice, like the back might explain it away. But it was just a room key. Nothing else. No note, no receipt. Just a quiet little rectangle that didn't belong in our house. And when he called from the living room, all cheerful, "Babe, we leaving in 10. I heard myself answer back, "Yep," like my mouth was on autopilot while my stomach was trying to fold itself inside out. I walked out to the kitchen with the key card hidden in my palm, nails digging into it hard enough to leave crescents in my skin. He was adjusting his tie in the hallway mirror, humming under his breath, looking annoyingly handsome in the way that used to make me proud to stand next to him. He smiled at me like everything was normal, like I hadn't just found evidence that my entire week might be a lie. "You ready?" he asked, and he leaned in to kiss my cheek. I let him. I even smiled. It felt like my face was made of something brittle. "Ready," I said, and my voice sounded steady, which scared me more than if it had cracked, because it meant my body was already choosing survival over emotion. Dinner was with his boss and a couple of people from his team, some big win celebration he'd been talking about all week. I sat at the restaurant under warm hanging lights and laughed at the right moments, nodded while they talked about numbers and deadlines, kept my hands folded in my lap so no one could see them tremble. Every time he touched my knee under the table, I smiled harder, like if I smiled enough, I could keep the world from collapsing in public. We'd been together 6 years, married for 2. His name's Andrew. Mine is Elise. We're not newlyweds, but we're not that old couple either. We're the age where everyone assumes you figured it out. Mortgage, routines, Sunday grocery runs. The shared calendar that holds dentist appointments and birthdays and trash night. I'm a nurse. Long shifts, messy hours. The kind of job that makes you want quiet when you get home. He's in sales. The kind of job where everything is a push and a win and a client dinner. Our relationship used to be simple in the best way. He'd text me when he landed if he traveled. He'd send me pictures of bad hotel art and joke about it. I'd tease him about his obsession with fancy pens. We fought sometimes, about his work bleeding into weekends, about my exhaustion making me withdrawn. But we always came back to each other. That's what I told myself anyway, that we always came back. The last few months, though, Andrew had been slippery. Not in a dramatic way. In a small, constant way. He'd started forgetting to tell me details. Trips that used to be on the calendar became last minute. He'd come home and shower immediately, saying he felt gross from travel. His phone was suddenly always face down. He laughed less around me. Or maybe I noticed less because I was tired. I kept blaming my own burnout. Nurses do this thing where we assume we're the problem first, because it's easier than believing someone you love is actively choosing to hurt you. I found the key card at 5:20, right after I got home from a day shift. I remember because my feet were aching, and I'd kicked my shoes off by the door and stood for a second in the quiet apartment trying to decompress. Andrew had left his suit jacket on the back of the chair with a sticky note on it that said, "Please steam. Dinner 7." The note had a smiley face on it. That detail still makes my skin crawl a little. I steamed the jacket because it was routine, because being a good partner had become muscle memory. And then the key card slipped out of the inside pocket and landed on the carpet with this soft plastic tap that somehow sounded louder than it should have. I didn't confront him right away. I don't know why exactly. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to walk into the living room, hold it up like a badge, and ask him to explain himself until he couldn't. But another part of me, maybe the part that's seen too many people lie with straight faces, wanted to watch, to listen, to not give him a head start on building a story. So I slid the key card into my clutch before we left, like it was my own secret, and I smiled at dinner. At the restaurant, Andrew was in his element. He was telling a story about a client who almost walked, making everyone laugh. His boss's wife leaned over and said, "You must be so proud of him." I felt my mouth say, "I am," and the words tasted metallic, like licking a battery. Andrew squeezed my hand, and I squeezed back because my brain kept screaming, "You're doing it again. You're helping him look good." Halfway through the main course, my phone rang. Unknown number. Not spam looking, not the usual weird area code. I glanced at it and felt my chest tighten. Andrew was in the middle of talking, his fork in the air, so I didn't answer immediately. It rang again almost right away, like whoever it was didn't accept being ignored. I excused myself with a practiced smile. "Sorry, I have to take this," I said, like it was work, like I wasn't about to step outside and have my life rearranged. The hallway outside the dining room was quieter, carpeted, dim. I answered on the second ring this time. "Hello?" A woman's voice, professional, calm. "Hi, is this Elise?" she asked. "Yes," I said, and my throat tightened. "This is the front desk at the Briarwood Hotel," she said. "I'm sorry to bother you. Mr. Andrew Mercer is a guest with us, and we have you listed as the primary contact on the reservation. We're just confirming. Should we keep the card on file for incidentals, or would you like to authorize a different one?" My body went cold in a single sweep, like someone poured ice water down my spine. I pressed my back against the wall because my knees felt unreliable. "Sorry," I heard myself say, very softly. "Can you repeat that?" There was a polite pause. "Mr. Andrew Mercer is currently checked in with us," she repeated carefully, as if she was worried she'd woken me up. "We're confirming billing details." Checked in. Currently. Present tense. Not last month. Not some old reservation. Right now. My brain scrambled. Dinner. Andrew sitting 10 feet away from me, laughing, fork in the air, and a hotel front desk telling me my husband is checked in somewhere else. I'm his wife, I managed. My voice sounded far away. "I didn't make a reservation." Another pause. Longer this time. The front desk woman's tone shifted slightly, still polite but more cautious. "I understand," she said. "We have your phone number and email associated with the booking. Sometimes guests reuse saved profiles. I just wanted to confirm authorization." "What room?" I asked before I could stop myself. "I'm sorry," she said, instantly firm. "For privacy reasons, I can't share room information. I can confirm we have a reservation under his name with 2 keys issued." 2 keys. My stomach flipped so hard I thought I might actually be sick on the carpet. I pressed my palm against my mouth like I could hold everything in. "Okay," I said, and it came out too calm, like my nervous system had chosen numbness. "Thank you for calling. Please don't change anything. I'll speak with him." "Of course," she said, still professional, and then she added gently, "Would you like me to remove you as the contact on the reservation?" That question, so polite, so matter of fact, hit like a punch, because it acknowledged something without saying it. It acknowledged that I might not want to be attached to whatever was happening there. "Yes," I whispered. "Please." "Done," she said. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience." Inconvenience. I almost laughed. Instead, I hung up and stood there in the hallway, staring at the wallpaper pattern like it might turn into instructions. My hands were shaking so hard, my phone rattled against my palm. I went back into the dining room and slid into my seat, like I hadn't just been told my husband was checked into a hotel with 2 keys issued. Andrew glanced at me. "Everything okay?" he asked, casual. I smiled. I don't know how. I did it anyway. "Yep," I said. "Just work." His boss raised his glass again. "To Andrew," he said, and everyone echoed it. I lifted mine too, my fingers white around the stem. I watched Andrew drink, watched him relax, watched him exist inside the version of life where nothing was wrong. By the time dessert came, I wasn't tasting anything. The table was full of easy laughter. Someone told a story about a disastrous team retreat. Andrew's hand kept resting on my thigh, warm and possessive, like it belonged there. I wanted to peel it off. On the drive home, he hummed with the radio. "That went great," he said. "My boss loves you." I stared out the passenger window at streetlights blurring by. The key card in my clutch felt heavier than it should have. "Yeah," I said. My voice was steady again, and I hated myself for it. When we got home, he loosened his tie and kicked off his shoes. "I'm going to shower," he said, already walking toward the bathroom. "I feel gross." Of course he did. "Andrew," I said. He paused, hand on the bathroom doorframe. "Yeah?" I pulled the key card out of my clutch and held it up between two fingers. "Explain this," I said. His face went still, not confused, not surprised. Still, like someone hitting pause. He blinked once, slow. "Where'd you get that?" he asked. "In your suit," I said. "The one you asked me to steam." His mouth opened like he was about to say something, then closed. He swallowed. "It's nothing," he said finally. The most useless sentence in the world. "It's a hotel key card," I said. My voice shook now. There it was, my body catching up. "And the front desk called me tonight. They said you're checked in, right now. 2 keys issued." His eyes widened, just a fraction. Not at the accusation, but at the detail he didn't expect me to have. "They called you?" he repeated, and it sounded like he was more angry at them than at himself. "Yes," I said, "because you used my number. Or your profile saved it. Either way, they called your wife while you sat at dinner and laughed." He rubbed his face hard with both hands. "Elise," he started. "No," I said, sharper than I intended. "Don't say my name like it's going to soften this." He dropped his hands. His eyes were glossy, but not in a remorseful way. More like cornered. "It's complicated," he said. "Is she married too?" I asked, and I didn't even plan that question. It just came out, ugly and precise. His silence answered enough. I felt my throat tighten. "How long?" I asked. "Don't lie. I'm done being managed." He sat on the edge of the couch like his legs suddenly didn't work. He stared at the floor. "A few months," he said quietly. "A few months. All those late client dinners. All those trips he didn't put on the calendar. All those showers. The phone face down. The little shifts I blamed on stress. I stood there holding the key card, looking at the man I'd built a life around, and realized I was shaking head to toe. "You brought the key card home," I said, and my voice cracked. "You brought evidence home and asked me to steam your suit." "I didn't mean to," he said, voice breaking, like intention was the issue. "I messed up." "You didn't mess up," I said. "You made choices. You made them over and over." He looked up at me, eyes wet now. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't want to hurt you." I let out a breath that sounded like a laugh, and a sob had a fight in my chest. "But you did," I said. "And then you let me sit at dinner and smile while I knew." He stood, reaching for me like he could physically pull the moment back. "Please," he said, "let's talk. We can fix this." I stepped back. My skin felt too tight. "You checked into a hotel with 2 keys, I said. "You want to tell me that's fixable?" He opened his mouth and I held up a hand. "Pack a bag," I said, and it didn't feel dramatic. It felt necessary. "Go somewhere else tonight." His face twisted. "Where am I supposed to go?" I stared at him, and the answer came out colder than I expected. "Not here," I said. "Not with me." He packed slowly, like he thought if he moved carefully enough I'd change my mind. He tried to talk while he did it. Apologies, explanations, how it started. how he felt unseen, how work was stressful, how he didn't plan it. I listened with the kind of numb attention you give a stranger in a waiting room, because none of it changed the reality that he'd made my number the contact on a hotel reservation for an affair. When he left, the apartment didn't feel peaceful. It felt like the air had been held back and finally released. I locked the door, leaned my forehead against it, and stood there breathing like I'd run a mile. Then I walked into the bedroom, took his suit jacket off the chair, and shook it out over the bed like I was looking for more lies. Nothing else fell out. Just lint, just fabric. Just the normal, boring proof of how easy it is to hide the big things in plain sight. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching. And if you've ever discovered the truth because someone else accidentally looped you in, front desks, receipts, notifications, all those little cracks, share your story in the comments. I read them, and it helps to know you're not alone when someone tries to build a second life, while you're still setting the table for the first one.